Abortion is illogical, which is a shame because it was invented by the same species that cured smallpox, devised string theory, and put men on the moon. There is, of course, plenty of scientific defense for abortion. The fetus is, after all, nothing more than a clump of cells devised entirely of the exact same DNA as every single other human being. Let's not kid ourselves, the proof is simple. People have abortions to avoid having children. Abortion, therefore, kills children. How do people fail to see this? They don't. Anyone who supports abortion intuitively knows that it's wrong. The sad truth is that man, for all his accomplishments, is not as logical a creature as we'd like to believe. For the past 40 years, pro-life activists have been preaching the humanity of the fetus with scientific evidence, and it's all been perfectly logical. But that's the problem. The perpetrators of abortion are not thinking logically. If we want to win the war on children, we need to take a new approach. It is futile to try to appeal to the minds of pro-abortionists because they know that abortion is wrong. These people don't need our logic. They need our love. We are living not only in a culture of death, but in a sexually perverse society. What do I mean by this? I'm not talking about that skimpy dress you saw on Dancing with the Stars. I'm talking about romance. Think about it. Every song on the radio, every Disney movie, what does society want us to believe the highest end of life is? Romance. This is a lie, but it's an incredibly convincing one. Why do we fall for this? Man, in his consciousness, experiences an emptiness, a longing for something which he himself cannot achieve. And this something is love. A very specific sort of love, in fact. The Greeks had a name for it. They called it agape, a supernatural love. Agape is not romance. Agape is love not as a feeling, but as an act of the will. When one willingly puts the good of another over himself. And because it is a choice, agape, or charity, can love what is otherwise naturally unlovable. The Greeks had several other words for love too. Among them are storge, or affection, philia, or friendship, and of course eros, or romance. English loses all of these meanings by lumping them into one word. And silly an accusation as it may seem, this is the way through which society has managed to pervert the meaning of love. Man desires charity, but charity requires giving, and giving is hard. So society, to quietly do away with this, tells man that what he desires is love, but advertises it not as charity, but as romance. This is certainly believable. Love feels good and in a very profound way, but when love becomes about feeling and not about choice, it loses meaning. It becomes about pleasure and takes on a new form: sex. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the mindset that enables abortion. The meaning of life is sex because sex is love. Love is a nice feeling, and son of a gun, sex is also a nice feeling. But when love becomes about feeling and not about choice, when love becomes about feeling and not about choice, these ideas are the driving force behind the disgusting prevalence and acceptance of abortion in our society today. Society needs to be shown the true meaning of love. All of this is done in the name of love, but it goes without saying that this is a crisis. Sex is a matter of life, abortion is a matter of death, and modern culture, therefore, is a matter of life and death. And it goes without saying that this is a lie. Society needs to be shown the true meaning of love. A set of ideas where the very notion of abortion is just as disgusting and alien as adult murder. Love is a choice. Take an elderly couple, for example. A man and a woman who have been married for 60 plus years. They've surely found romance, and to be blunt, they've had plenty of sex. But are they perfectly happy? Does it always feel nice? Certainly not. Their marriage lasts and has lasted because they have continually chosen to love each other, even in the hard times. Love is a choice. The idea that love is a feeling, on the other hand, has several disastrous consequences. Most significantly, it cleaves sex from its primary purpose of procreation. And when sex is not directed towards procreation, it inevitably becomes about pleasure, which makes the people involved become like toys for that dehumanizing purpose. Even if a child is not conceived, we can already see how this act can destroy love instead of deepen it. But let's not forget what happens when a child is conceived. Abortion is murder. and should be governed by the same laws that prevent adult murder today. However, I believe that we should strive for something more. Just because a service is outlawed does not mean that our country will magically be made up of people who agree with that decision. And just because abortion is outlawed does not mean that people will magically agree with that. If we truly believe in a child's right to life, and I certainly hope you do, then we should strive to reach the point where every person can recognize it. So we must ask ourselves a question. Why do people really commit abortions? I've already talked about the perversity of the culture today and how people erroneously seek fulfillment in sex. But this statement comes with an underlying question. Why do people, by default, lack the love that they so voraciously pursue? Why do people, by default, lack love? And the answer is more horrifying than we can imagine. Abortion is tearing apart families. Abortion pits the mother against her child, the husband against his wife. And by enabling a culture of hookups, abortion has pitted men against women. The family is the foundation for all stable, happy, and fulfilled people, and today's society is no steady foundation for the family. People without a stable home life lack the love that they need to even function. Society tells them to find it in sex. Sex inevitably leads to conception, and conception leads to abortion. The mother has not found love. The father has not found love. And the child is dead. And should the mother choose to keep that child, then he or she will be raised without the love he or she deserves, and will likely be ensnared by the same web of lies that her parents were. Everybody intuitively knows that this is a sin. The logic isn't lacking, but humans are not entirely logical creatures. We are nourished by truth, but we are also nourished by love. And when we lack love, there is none to give. And that is why people are killing our children. So if you want to end abortion, I sure hope you do. Don't give them a speech about how the fetus has human DNA. Love them. Love them. Love them so that they would know how to love and respect their spouse, their fellow men, and above all, their children. Thank you.